Welcome to the Cheryl Reeve Show. We are live at Free House in the North Loop, right on Washington Avenue in Minneapolis, one of my favorite places. We're here in the very spacious bar. Most days the patio is filled. We're a little bit rainy today, not quite as filled today. The restaurant area is completely filled as well. We're going to be telling you about Free House's beer selections. I think they have a blueberry blonde that's out that Cheryl might be interested in trying out. She tried a flight last time we did a live show. And we're going to get into a lot of basketball. Thanks to the Free House for sponsoring. As I always say, Free House is so good at what they do, they even make kale taste good. I particularly like their Roto-Bird, their seafood mac. They have breakfast, as Cheryl's told you about before. We're going to have Maisie up here later to tell you about more of their selections. Thanks also to the Lynn Hall, our other sponsor on the network. And if you'd like to sponsor the show, just send me an email, jsouhan47@gmail.com. So let's start with, I know we talked about our last show, but it was such a cool thing, almost such a momentous thing. I want to revisit it before we get into basketball. Your trip to D.C., now that you've had some time to digest it, tell me what stuck with you.
Well, I would say that when I go back, it was just 2 weeks ago, before we were in D.C., that the players came to me and asked if we could go to D.C. a day early and commemorate our championship with some community service. And it was such a whirlwind from that ask all the way through to the ceremony that you're just kind of spinning and people are working for it. And then when it ends, and then you are able to kind of just, you win the game, and then you see all of the social media that came from that, and the pictures and the faces, not just the faces of the kids, but the faces of our players that were participating in the event. I would just say that, that visiting the White House 3 times was something that, that you remember forever. My son Oliver, high-fived the president, a picture he will have for a lifetime. But this event, we said, was as meaningful to the group, and it was as special to our group as those visits to the White House. And so that just made me feel really good that our staff was able to pull off something so amazing for them and partnering with an amazing organization. And so that my takeaway was that it could not have gone any better, and our players could not have been any more genuine in their, I think, appreciation for. We say all the time that this team is so much more than basketball. That was the epitome of our team. So that was just really special to be a part of.
And you remind me the name of the organization.
Samaritan's Feet.
But you not only gave away shoes and socks, your players washed the kids' feet. I mean, you can't get much more personal, and you can't give of yourself much better than that. Yeah,
when I first mentioned to the players, I tried to talk real fast and say, "No, but we're going to wash their feet," and then and they all they said, "Huh?" And I said, I talked to them about the reason, why Samaritan's Feet had made that a part of their program. So I heard the story about Samaritan's Feet on May 21st. Manny flew in, he's the founder and CEO. He flew in just to visit with our team. He wanted our team to be the first team to partner from the WNBA with Samaritan's Feet. He said he wanted to go right to the top and go to the champions and say, let's do something. And so I heard the story and then just shared with the players. And when they heard the meaning behind it, bringing dignity to the person that was in need and without shoes, and so just hearing the story and hearing Manny's story is unbelievable. He's a tremendous storyteller, but his story is so compelling. And so when the players learned all of that, they jumped in with 2 feet. They had the option to not participate in any part of it. There wasn't a single player that was opting out of any part of spending time with these kids.
And you not only were there with the kids and with Manny, but you brought out a Minnesota contingent. Amy was there, Tina was there, and you can list the names.
Yeah, that part was, again, when I say pulled it together quickly, to be able to get politicians away from, the Capitol building, in their place of work, especially on a day that they were commemorating. It was the anniversary of Robert Kennedy's assassination, so there was big things that morning. So we had, dignitaries that were able to stop by for the assembly part, but then also there at the end for our ceremony, as you mentioned, Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith were the two that led the contingency of Minnesota folks. Some congressmen. There were some from other states. from the Congressional Black Caucus. We wanted to be representative of our team. Strong, powerful females was important to us. That was the front and center. But then also, I think when you have men advocating for women, and we had that, through the representatives that were there in the crowd that were from Minnesota. So, again, things that made it special for our players. We took a situation where, this particular president has not honored a WNBA champion, despite every other president doing so. We said, that's okay. That's his choice. Hopefully that, voters will decide, the things that matter to them. We have a chance to use our voice. And we decided that we're going to say we don't need the president to tell us that we're meaningful. And we just put together something that we thought was incredibly thoughtful. So thank you.
I have a sense that Robert De Niro movie rentals are going to go through the roof. I think he's, if he's having any trouble paying his bills, I think he's going to be fine.
I think so, too.
I think things are going to work out pretty well for him. In terms of basketball, how are you feeling? Are you needing to de-stress? How are the practices and the conversations with your team going?
Well, this has been a heck of a start to this season in terms of the pace. We knew, we talked about it in the offseason. It was going to be a frenetic pace. We knew we were going to come out of the gates, 6 out of 9 on the road, and it was going to be bang, 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 bang. I actually started working out in preparation that I might be able, me as the coach, might be able to handle it better. I started sleeping. I started changing my hours to make sure that I was getting sleep and that I was eating better so that I could be sharp. So I have to tell you, it's everything that we thought it would be and then some. And so it's been quite the challenge. And then on top of that, from a basketball standpoint, I don't know that we were as ready as we needed to be, given the challenge of the season, given the newcomers that came on board. Our second team looks a little bit different. So, keeping it real, I think that sometimes when you win 4 championships in 7 years, and maybe it should have happened. Maybe it happens to people prior to winning 4. Maybe after you win your first. But I think somewhere along the way we stopped kind of recognizing the little things that we've done along the way to win hard games, close games, because we've done that the whole way. I told our team, we've won games in our 7-year historic run, not by 20 points every time we play. Every game comes down to the last 5 minutes, and the team that makes the fewest mistakes, the ones that execute, the ones that stick together through the times of adversity, are the ones that win the game. And what we have found as we come out to start this season is that people are lining up to knock us off, and there's a certain level of passion that you have to approach the game with, and if you don't, they smell blood. And I would say that for the first 9 games, our opponents have smelled blood. And sometimes we've responded and sometimes we haven't. So that's what we're working through. I mean, tremendous conversations. There's not a team that I'd rather be around. These people on this team, they're such quality individuals. So if you can imagine Maya Moore, who's never really lost this many games in a short period of time, and in 9 games, or Lindsay Whalen, Sylvia Fowles, Rebecca Brunson, who's the all-time championship player in our league. These people don't like losing. And so I think how you handle it in times of adversity is going to determine how we come out of this thing. And that's what I'm highly confident in. Now, I think that it's got to start now. There is everybody keeps saying, they'll be fine, they'll figure it out. But we're going to do that because we're going to get to work this week. And we're going to start to understand, come heck or high water, we're going to understand what it takes to win a possession and how hard you got to play, how hard you got to defend. If we don't, just because we say it's going to turn around, it's not just going to happen because we say it. And so, this league is good. I've always said that. Winning a game in this league, I think our players have made it look easy. It's not easy, as we're finding out now. We're
live at the Free House, Washington Avenue in the North Loop. We recommend you come by anytime. Oh, here we go. Cheryl is trying the Blueberry Blonde. This show's going to get really fun.
My personality gets better the more I drink of these.
Or at least you think it does. And we're going to have Maisie up here to tell you more about Free House in a little bit. Also want to thank our other sponsor, Lynn Hall. It's an incredible restaurant, event space, kitchen, TV studio, and more. Lynn Hall provides wholesome food, teaches classes, and makes delicious drinks as well. No matter what you are hungry or thirsty for, they'll have you covered. The Lynn Hall has a trio of exciting events this summer called the Wisdom Series, featuring change makers in the community. The first event was last Sunday with Sunday Night Football's Michelle Tafoya. The next event features local CEO Lynn Casey on July 19th. Tickets are $25 with the proceeds benefiting the Young Women's Initiative of the Women's Foundation. Visit thelynhall.com for ticket information. Also, I recommend you follow the Free House on Twitter and check out freehousempls.com for all of their specials and their features. We're doing 2 more live shows. Follow us, Cheryl and myself, on social media for the dates and times as we go forward. Is it difficult? You talked about being around tremendous people. That's been very well established. They're obviously all winners. In my experience, they're all very gracious people. What has it been like, though, to have to take playing time away from champions?
Well, that's been the hardest part. I didn't necessarily know that you see it. I didn't see this coming in terms of I thought we would continue to manage our players' minutes. I think that was always part of the plan. We did that last year. We think that's why we were successful in the postseason, that Simone was ready to be Simone Augusta. She knew if she could have to do it for a 3-week period that she could do it. And so, this season has been a little bit different. Rebecca Brunson's knees are, bothering her. And so I was playing her 30, 35 minutes. And the trainer came to me and said, if we keep going at this pace, you're not going to have her. And that's the last thing that I want, is to not have Rebecca Brunson, especially at key times. And so it's kind of our new life. If you think about the San Antonio Spurs, you get to a certain point where, that you're aging, your veterans that have kind of carried you through the years, they can't do night in and night out what you need them to do or what they once did. And so you've got to find a way to put people around them that can get them to a certain point that when the playoffs hit, they are able, much like we did with Simone. I would say that this season, though, I feel like it's been even, elevated in terms of, Lindsay, maybe losing a step, however you want to say it. It's been a little bit harder to manage. I haven't done the best job. There's times when I feel like I have Lindsay out, and I go back and I watch the video, and I thought, why do I have her out? She's got to be out there. Or why do I feel like, so I'm really working to try to find the exact right thing. Same thing for Simone or Rebecca. I'll look and the Connecticut game. She should have been back out there in the second half, and I just didn't get her in there in the quality moments for her to do Rebecca Brunson-like things to help us. So, all of us, I can tell you this, are highly competitive people. Losing is not something any of us take well. I think we all know what we have to do, and I think more than anything, what I'm looking for is for this group to find their collective will, their collective passion in competing together. Once we get that, then things will begin to take care of themselves, and with regard to playing time and all of that good stuff and combinations. I like some of the younger players that we have. They're getting more playing time. I do think that's important. At the end of the day, Lindsay, Simone, Maya, Rebecca, and Sil are going to be the reason why we get out of this hole that we're in and go on to be successful.
We will take live questions. We're giving away hats and T-shirts for anybody who does come up and ask a live question. Feel free to do it pretty much any time. There is the fan mic right there. We'll have Maisie up here in a minute to talk about Free House. And it's a loose show. You can pretty much come up about any time and ask a question. If you are new to this podcast or our podcast network, and I recommend all of our co-hosts, Michael Russo on hockey, John Krasinski on basketball, John Millay on preps, Tim Yoder on football, Roy Smalley on baseball. We have the best people in the market talking about their individual sports. But if you're new to the podcast world, we specialize in tangents. Here's my tangent of the day. How about you, some combination of you, Steve Kerr, and Greg Popovich, just taking over the government for us for a little while here. Just I don't care who's in what role. Just somebody.
Well, I do. I do care about who's in what role.
So you're president then?
Well, I would have to be president. Okay. Absolutely. If you really want to get
shocks
things
me. You want to take charge?
I'm just kidding, Tim. No, that would be in great company, and I appreciate the heck out of those guys using their voices the way that they do, and a number of athletes that have kind of chimed in with regard to